Hi, welcome to the channel. In most cases, international students in Canada have two goals. One is to complete their studies, and two, apply for a post-graduation work permit or the PGWP to gain Canadian work experience that might qualify them for permanent residence in Canada. The PGWP is an open work permit that allows you to work for any employer in any province in Canada. The number of years for PGWP is dependent on the number of years you studied in Canada. A one-year study program will most likely result in 1 year of PGWP, and a 2-year study program will most likely get you a 3-year PGWP. But with the recent changes in Canada study policy, master's students who studied a 1-year program will now get a 3-year PGWP, which is just awesome. When you have your PGWP, the expectation is that you are able to apply for permanent residence before your PGWP expires. What I want to say next is very important. Please note that you need to wait until your studies is done and you receive confirmation from the school that you have completed the program and that you have met the requirements for the program that you are studying for. Also, you should stop working the day you officially receive your academic transcript or completion letter from the school. You can continue to work once you apply for a PGWP and receive the confirmation of submission from RCC. You have up to 180 days after you graduate to apply for a PGWP, and please make sure that your study permit has not expired when you do apply. There are many routes available for you to apply for permanent residence after you receive your PGWP by first gaining Canadian work experience. But that is not the subject of this video today. I have a video about getting permanent residence after studying in Canada on this channel, and I will leave the link in the description. If you want me to do a more detailed video about getting permanent residence after studying in Canada, just leave a comment. And if I get enough of you asking, I will definitely do the video for you. Today's video is actually for those whose PGWP is expiring soon and they are yet to apply for permanent residence. It is also for those who just got their PGWP approved and would like to qualify for permanent residence ASAP. Sadly, you cannot extend your PGWP if it expires. You only get it once in a lifetime. So if you plan to study another program after the first one, it's best to do so before applying for PGWP. If your PGWP expires without you applying for permanent residence, you may be in some tight corner. So please try as much as possible not to get yourself in that corner. Truth is, many people get into this situation. Their PGWP expires and they are yet to apply for permanent residence. Remember, you just need to apply for PR. You don't need to have gotten the PR. So the question is, what options do you have if you find out that your PGWP may expire before you get the chance to apply for PR? Maybe you don't even have a job yet, or you don't have a qualifying job, or you don't qualify for any permanent residence routes. By now, you are probably panicking. You can't sleep. You're losing your mind. What do you do? Well, first of all, relax.
Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone?
No need to panic. There are over 1 million international students in Canada, and most of them actually transition to a PGWP and hopefully to permanent residency. You have to be calm to get the best out of this situation, okay? In this video, I want us to look at what options may be available to you and what you can do within the few months you have left on your PGWP. The first thing I suggest is that you try to get a job with a Labor Market Impact Assessment or the LMIA. This would allow you to apply for a closed work permit that will allow you work for that particular employer and hopefully will eventually get you enough points for permanent residence. How does it work? The steps involve your employer as much as it does you. So this is something you can present to your current employer just in case they are not aware. Approach your employer and say something like, I need your help. My PGWP is about to expire and I will lose my work permit and I cannot continue to work here. I would like to appeal to you to help me apply for an NMIA so I can continue to work for you. Now, hopefully you are a great employee and the employer is thinking, oh, sure, you are a great employee. I want to continue to have you on board. How do I do this NMIA stuff? Wow, that's one bridge crossed. This here is the process you can explain to your employer. I reiterate, these steps are for your employer and not you. Step 1, confirm a job vacancy cannot be filled by Canadians or permanent residents. Step 2, advertise the job across various Canadian platforms for at least 4 weeks. Step 3, submit an LMI application to Employment and Social Development Canada or the ESDC with proof of job ads, offer details, and processing fee. The employer needs to pay about $1,000 at the time of making this video to apply for the LMI. Step 4, ESDC assesses the impact of hiring a foreign worker on the Canadian labor market. Step 5, if approved, the employer receives a positive LMIA, indicating a foreign worker is needed. Step 6, you now use the positive LMIA to apply for a work permit. And finally, a positive LMIA supports your eligibility for permanent residency under specific immigration programs. Note, however, that an LMIA is generally required for each specific job position rather than for each individual employee. This means that if an employer needs to fill multiple vacancies for the same job position with the same terms like the same job duties, location, and wages, a single LMI application may cover multiple foreign workers. You can see this is a process that the employer needs to be heavily involved in, and the employer pays for the LMIA. It is highly recommended that your employer does this process with a consultant or an immigration lawyer, as it is easy to misunderstand something and make an irreversible mistake that may lead to a refusal, and you don't want that. The reason why I outlined the process is so you can explain it to your employer in case they don't know how to go about it. Apart from getting an LMIA, the second thing that I would recommend is the Atlantic Immigration Program, the AIPP. Now, this is especially great for those who studied in Atlantic Canada, that is Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland. And this can be a direct pathway to permanent residency. Even if you didn't study in a school in the Atlantic region, you can still apply for the AIPP. Let me explain how it works. The AIPP program works through partnerships with designated employers and the provincial government in the Atlantic region. These employers are actively seeking talented individuals to fill job vacancies that they couldn't fill locally. First, you need a job offer from a designated employer in one of the participating provinces. Next, you apply for permanent residency through one of the program's streams. That's the Atlantic High Skilled Program, then Atlantic Intermediate Skilled Program, or the Atlantic International Graduate Program. Once you've gotten your job offer and you meet the program requirements, you could be on your way to becoming a permanent resident in as little as 6 months. So, like I said before, even if you didn't school in those provinces, if you can get a job offer from the designated employers, this could be a great route for you. Normally, you need 1 year of work experience for this process. But international graduates in Atlantic Canada have a fast lane. They can shortcut the experience, as getting a permanent full-time job offer alone is enough to initiate the process. It is important you understand that when it comes to the Atlantic Immigration Program, each province in the Atlantic region has their own list of designated employers. Only these employers can help you with PR through the AIP. Now, let's run through an example using Nova Scotia. You go to the official province website of Nova Scotia, which is novascotiaimmigration.com. You scroll down and click on designated employers. Make sure that it's for the current year. Then you can go through all of these employers. There are so many of them. And then you want to find something that works for you. Get the website of the employer. You can just Google it and check for available jobs that are advertised. And if you find one that you qualify for, please apply for them. If you're interested in the AIPP, the links will be in the description for you to explore. The next thing that I would recommend is the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, or the RNIP. It's very similar to the AIP, but it extends beyond Atlantic Canada. How it works is that there are certain communities in the program, and to qualify, you need to find a job in one of the designated communities. For example, Sudbury or North Bay. After receiving a job offer, you must apply for and receive a recommendation from the participating community. Each community has its own recommendation process, which usually involves demonstrating how you and your family, if applicable, plan to become part of the local community and contribute to the community. Once you have a job offer and a community recommendation, and you meet the federal eligibility criteria for permanent residence, you can apply for permanent residence. It's very straightforward, but the key is to get that job offer in one of the designated communities. There are many of you watching who possibly already live in these communities, and you don't even know much about this program. I will leave the link in the description. This is a very good option to become a permanent resident. The next one on my list is that you can explore the provincial nominee programs in other provinces. Now, many of which may require a job offer. Now, for this, you would need to find the time to do detailed research of the nominee programs in the different provinces in Canada and see how you can explore one of them. This method has been used a lot, particularly by graduates of one-year programs in Ontario who needed to apply for permanent residence fast. Please be sure to explore this as well. You can also create an express entry profile. And for this, you need to complete an English or a French test. And so you can create the profile. I hardly recommend this because being in the pool alone offers a lot of benefits, as you could actually get picked from the pool. If you are married and you have your spouse in Canada, you may want to explore the possibility of your spouse becoming an international student in Canada. And in this way, your family can continue to remain in Canada as dependents of the international student. You as the spouse may be able to qualify for a spousal open work permit. And this is depending on the program your spouse is studying. And In the worst case scenario, you can change your status to a visitor if your PGWP has finally expired and your spouse's program does not qualify you for a spousal open work permit. It's a tough one, I know, but you have to do what you have to do. Now, this next one I left for last is very, very interesting. It should be your very last option, please. The very last, because it is like a 50-50 chance. And this is submitting a humanitarian and compassionate claim, or H&C for short. The simplest explanation of H&C is that you've been in Canada for a few years and you bring some economic benefit like having a job and paying taxes, but you cannot apply for PR under any stream, and it is dangerous for you to go back home for reasons that you can prove. Please note that applying for H&C consideration is an exceptional measure. It is not simply another means of applying for permanent residence status in Canada. It is unique. It is not a point-based system, and it is decided on a case-by-case basis. If you want to explore this, you really need to speak to an immigration lawyer. Very, very important. So guys, I believe that you took some notes, or at least you saved this video so that you can come back to it when you need this information. Things don't always go as planned, including your desire to get Canada permanent residence. But don't forget that tough times don't last, but tough people do. Rather than feeling sorry for yourself or bemoaning your fate, I want to encourage you to get to work and start doing something by exploring the options that I have mentioned in this video. And if you know any possible routes to permanent residence that I have failed to mention here, please drop them in the comments. And very importantly, I have a favor to ask. What topics do you want me to talk about next? Leave them in the comments so that I can research those topics for you. Thank you again for your likes, your shares, and your subscribes. I really, really appreciate you, and I wish you God's blessings. Finally, I invite you to watch this video next, where I explained in detail how to get permanent residence in Ontario after your studies. Stay well, stay safe, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.